All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the DomainSherpa Review After Show, where we discuss anything on the minds of our panel, the portfolios, news in the industry, recent deals we've done, anything we want. Mike Berkens, welcome back. You're live on the show. Oh, he can't hear me because he doesn't have his microphone. All right, Mike Berkens, welcome back.
So what we were saying about Mike was, no, just kidding.
Congrats to Mike for, again, 6,000 blog posts, 6 years posting. We know that running a blog is not an easy thing to do. Rick, you've got to have close to 6,000, if not more, posts.
No, you know what? I don't even think I have 1,200 in 7 years.
Wow. All right.
I don't blog as much as you think.
Well, congrats to Mike and for his website birthday. We'll see if that's taken next week, and also for today's registered or available competition. All right, let me start with...
just cash. Send cash.
Send cash to Michael Berkens, care of Mike Seiger at DomainSherpa. All right, R. Shaw was hoping we'd continue the discussion about the age of domain names. Clearly, I guess we didn't put that issue to bed. So he asked, if a domain name registered in 1998 in a popular product niche only has 260 searches per month and a $2.98 CPC, is it worth buying from an investor standpoint? So supposedly it's a popular product, 260 searches per month, assume it's exact match, and a $3 CPC. Rick.
Well, what's the domain name? I mean, that's kind of, I'm not a radar pilot, man. What's the damn domain name? But on the face of it, 268 searches doesn't impress me, and I don't base buying a domain name on the number of searches. So what's the damn domain name?
All right. Good feedback. Anybody else? Any input on search quantity and cost per click as a function of whether the domain name is valuable?
I thought the original question was, do we care if it's an old domain?
Yeah.
Do you care if it's an old domain if it doesn't have much search volume?
I don't, like Rick kind of said, I don't care if it's a new domain, old domain. As long as it's something we can develop out for a business, or something that we think we can flip quickly, or just sell in general that somebody's going to be interested in, the age of the domain doesn't matter to me at all.
So in this case, the age doesn't matter. All you look at is, can I build an operating business on it and make some money on it?
Yeah, or can I buy, like there's been domains you can buy and flip within 2 to 3 days, or a week or 2 weeks. So, that's more important to me than a domain that's aged, because the age doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, this isn't blind.
Age is just a number. When you're at age is just a number.
I think some of the things that could be important is who owned it. I mean, if Adam owned it for 10 years and he never got it sold and he's letting it drop, then I'm probably not going to sit there and say, oh boy, some magic's going to happen when I own it.
Hey, now, that's not true. I got one word for you. Buyville.
Yeah, that's right. But
I dropped it and he was looking for it.
But if it's a company that went out of business 10 years ago and the who is can't be reached, the one thing that's happened in our business the last 5 years is you almost have to assume if a name's dropping that the org, net, and info and all those guys have been contacted already because of all the services that do that, and they mine it, and they send them all that stuff. So I think there's a lot more than just the age. You have to look behind it and say, who owned it.
So to answer that question, age has no value. I hope we're specific enough for you at this point.
I disagree.
Right. Last week, Paige said age does have some value, and I think, people weren't, if a domain was registered in 1996, let's say, and it's been registered continuously by the same person, that person used to spend a lot of money every year to register it, and they've got a lot of money tied up. So it probably has... It likely has greater than a 50% chance of having more than registration value. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no. But I'm not saying that it would. I'm not like Rick's comment. You can't say it's a 15-year-old domain, buy it. It depends on the name, and then this is an indicator of why it might be a good investment opportunity if it's been taken for a long time. And then sometimes you don't want a name to be taken for a long time because you want to be the first one to buy it because it's a new trend or something like that, and you don't want it to have been on marketplaces for a while. So we don't have to tell this guy the answer to his question. We don't have a teller window in the domain business where you can just walk up and say, I've got a 12-year-old name with 320 searches and this click rate, it's worth this much money, and I'm willing to sell it for half of that, so give me my money. You know, we just don't have that. It comes down to the name, and you can't bank on the stats, but they can help you decide what to do or what's good.
I would say this: the only point to date would make for me is I've been looking at all the variables, I'm weighing it out, and at the very last thing, I just kind of look up and I see, geez, it was registered in 1994. That's kind of interesting. That's about as much weight as it gets. It has at the end, and you're maybe that's it. But other than that, to go, usually I just want to see if the guy registered it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, this seems like a good segue into one of the topics that Adam brought up during the review. Adam, you've got 7 to 8 things that you look at when you're deciding whether you should renew or drop a domain name. Let's talk about those and see what the other Sherpas think.
All right. So, I mean, when you have a list like we have before, and people give us I don't know if Rick tells them to go to hell, but some people send me lists every day, and they say, what do you think of these? Should I keep them? Should I drop them? Rick probably just hangs up. But, I mean, so here's some of the things I look at, even when I'm searching through my own portfolio. It's, okay, so take a look at the domain name, look at the revenue the domain has made, look at the parking revenue, but more importantly, look at the number of unique visitors. Because if a domain still has unique visitors, maybe you're not targeting it right, maybe you're not aiming it right. I mean, there's a lot of examples like that, because I own something like, I think it's 96123.net, and nobody here is going to know what it is, but I know from experience that it's a Chinese phone company and they sell phone cards. Same with flus.net. You'd think to target the flu shot or something like that. When I do that, it makes about $5 a day. When I target adult education, like from Florida Atlantic University, it'll make $50 to $60 a day. So
wow.
know your portfolio, know your domains, and watch those uniques. So if it is making money, obviously you want to keep it, but also if it has a good number of uniques, you want to keep it, and you want to figure out what they're looking for. The next thing is, and this was mentioned earlier, make sure and take a look and see if the other extensions are available or taken. If they are taken, then probably you've got people you can market to, and you don't need to just drop it. If they aren't taken, then probably you've got a hunk of junk, and you may want to think about dropping it. Also, if you've had a domain name for, let's say, 2 to 3 years, and you've never received even an email or an offer, even a lowball offer on it, then it's probably not a name that's going to have any value. Of course, if you think you bought it because you want to build a business out of it someday, then that's different. So we're going to check the extension, make sure that's available. For product-related domain names.
Hey, Adam, on the extensions, before you move on to the fourth one.
Yeah, no, I don't include .co in that.
.net, .org, .info, .biz? What extensions?
For me, I use .ca. You can use .us if you're bored. I mean, there's a few other ones, but for me, it's .ca, .com, .net, .org, and that's about it.
Yeah, country codes I'd add.
Yeah, country codes you'd add, but it depends which ones. You can do a search on some of the sites that will look for all of them. And then you can also Google to see if you've got a name. And one of the things I looked up while we were doing this one was, it was one of the things we had. It was a CCRC or RA or something in one of the lists. And I looked, and there were a lot of companies with that name. So that's another source you may want to try to market it to before you drop it. And then you also have to go by your personal feelings or the meaning of the domain name. So if it's one of my kids' names, or if it's something I like, or a joke within the family, or a joke within the domain community, or something that's funny, we may want to keep it because it means something to us. So obviously you don't want to let those slip through. And then one of the most important things that people don't look at is put the term into Google and make a note of the number of advertisers. Because if a product has advertisers, if a domain has advertisers, it's probably worth revenue. So now you need to figure out exactly whether it is, and then again you need to target those people that are buying that keyword already. But if I put something in, like I did a test with treeconsultant.ca, and it had advertisers. So again, and it's a business, a possible business, it's a local business, because nobody's going to call from Seattle and have me come down and remove their tree. So you want to look at that, and like I said, you want to look at previous interest in the domain name. You consider those categories, and if it doesn't meet any of those criteria, then it's probably time you should consider moving on.
What do the other Sherpas think? Any other input on whether to move on and drop it or continue to register it?
I mean, I guess it depends on your portfolio and your play and your overall business. I mean, obviously, my business model on Adams is quite different. I don't know. How many domains do you own, Adam, approximately?
Sorry, I was on mute. About over 30,000.
Okay, so for 30,000, do you review your portfolio every year, every month when it comes up for renewal, or do you do it every other year, or?
No, I do it every month, and each month I notice as my buying habits mature and my knowledge matures, my drops go up, but my registrations go even higher because I'm buying smarter.
How do you review 30,000 domains every month? Is it only the ones that are expiring?
You only have to review the ones that are expiring in the next 60 to 90 days, if there is that much. You can also look, like I do, somewhere in July, I look towards the end of the year so I don't have to think about it.
Huh.
And then any domains, just to be clear, any domains that I think are worth over $10,000, those are renewed for 10 years. So I'm not going to lose a salads.ca, a limo.ca, or a planets.com stupidly. But it's a name. I have three categories of domains. I have premiums, which would be over $5,000 to $10,000. Keepers, which are names that I'm still looking at, and then the question marks, which I have to go through.
I mean, that's definitely a way of doing it. I mean, I do it a little differently. I basically pull stats. If I actually don't, go through my list every year. I do it every couple of years. I usually will pull stats up against the names coming up for renewal. Anything that's making less than, say, 50 cents a month on average, I look at it. If they're making more, I just automatically renew. And so that sort of cuts down on the number of names to look at. And then, stuff that still makes sense to me, and if it's still names that I think are valuable, I keep them. If there's, misspells or typos or some other crap, or names that used to have traffic that don't, then I drop them. And then over the last year, I've sort of been paying attention to names I think that have potentially a lot of GTLD exposure. So things, again, sort of like legal names, a little bit more, geo-centric legal names that really aren't in the top, 5 verticals. I think we dropped, a few thousand of those in the last 12 months. So, but it's not something that I do, continuously every month for the rest of my life. I don't see that personally.
Well, I'm just doing it for names that they have no real reason to keep. They're not generics. They're not high-end names. They're just names that I had. So they may have a traffic at one time, or like the Buyville, the one that I let go, and a few people were at auction over it, and Paige was interested in it. To me, it didn't have any value, but Paige may have a business idea behind it. How did you come up with the 50 cents level to decide?
Well, I mean, it's $6 a year. I mean, that's close enough. I mean, I don't know. Basically pays for
I was
itself.
offering 50 cents for Buyville.
Yeah. But I just, basically paying for itself. There's no sense even looking at. I mean, why would you give it up for?
Are you talking about 50 cents a month?
Yeah, PPC.
Okay.
On average, basically $6 a year.
So basically, if it pays for itself, you keep it. There's no reason to give it up if it pays for itself.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth the time to figure out that maybe a couple that you're losing $1 on it doesn't. There's a time. There's a time cost of money.
It's a good way to rule out a bunch that you don't have to look at and filter.
Exactly. It's time is money kind of thing. So for sure.
Hey, Mike, one of the things we'll do, because we do price our names, we don't go for the everything on make offer. So if we know 60 or 90 days out that we don't like it that much, we may play around with the price, try to do some merchandising, knock it down to buy it now or something. Or sometimes we'll knock it up. Sometimes we'll take names that we like and we'll double them, because you don't know if someone's got them on a watch list, or you don't know if someone's out there checking the listing, every week to see what the price is. And so, you can start kind of shaking the pot. Again, it's merchandising. We've been lucky, I think, in the domain business, in that we spend a tremendous amount of time per name buying it, and we spend very little time selling it. We just wait until we get an offer or something like that. And I think we're trying to switch that ratio around. So anyway, that's some of the other things you can do. Is if 3 months out you're not going to renew it, or it's at the bottom, adjust to buy it now. Try to play around with the price and see if you can snag somebody that way.
Does that work, Paige?
You never know what works, because they don't tell you when they buy why they bought it. So you just have to try to do 10 things every day to help your portfolio and hope that it works. But they never tell you why they bought it.
Rick, any other thoughts on evaluating whether you should continue to renew or drop a specific domain name in your portfolio?
Well, I keep everything on auto renew, and a few years ago, I don't go through them all the time. I think about 3 years ago, I went through most of the domain names with not a fine-tooth comb, but a good brush, and got rid of the ones that, as we mature and we understand what makes a domain valuable. I got rid of some of my pigeon shit, and I only have 6,000 domain names, so I probably have the least of anyone on the panel. And but I never micromanaged them because my domains have always been self-supporting. So even the domains, most of the domains didn't have revenue, especially at the beginning. So some cover the costs of the others. So I don't really look at it on a basis if they make their money back or not. It's either a domain has value because it means something, or it doesn't. And the income on it is just bonus in the meantime, is the way I look at it.
So you're registering them thinking that it has some sort of brand value, you could run a business on it, but over time, your bets 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago are either going to come to fruition or not, and you continually reevaluate and say, I don't think that my thinking back then was good, I'm going to drop it now.
Well, yeah, so you learn, and here I'll give it a perfect example. Not my domain, so don't take offense to whoever I'm going to tell, but DVDs.com, okay, which many years ago would have been a valuable domain name. Basically, we couldn't give it away today in our auction. It's not a desirable domain anymore because DVDs are just it's hindsight now. There's other mediums that are coming to replace it, and so. That's a perishable. We didn't know at the time, and I'm sure the owner didn't know, but it ended up being a perishable domain name.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was worth a lot more before Blockbuster went out of business and everyone, stopped doing that. So, you have to evaluate it, reevaluate it, look at it from different sets of eyes. And you know what? I change my mind sometimes. Sometimes I'm about to drop a domain, and I say, son of a bitch, you know what? It's like 29 days, and it's about to. And I got to keep it. It's just I don't like getting rid of them unless they have no value.
So I'm going to add something to that, Michael. For you. I'll give your users a tip. So we all know we had VHS and beta, and then we had DVDs. We had CDs, sorry. Then we had DVDs, and then we had Blu-ray. The next thing out for your users to look into is Violet Ray. It holds 60 times what Blu-ray holds. And I'll give you a quick story if you want how DVDs came about. Does anybody know that story?
Huh.
So the Sony executive wanted a medium that he could media that he could watch a full movie on instead of having to put in a couple of CDs or a couple of discs. So he sent them out to go design stuff, and they came back with a DVD. That was the president of Sony.
Show of hands, who does not own a Blu-ray player? Paige? Just you and me, Paige. No Blu-ray. All right, everybody else.
I got a Violet Ray inside my wristwatch.
All right, I'm gonna jump the generation there. Go.
Ding.
All right, let's talk about new TLDs.
Tell me a DVD player that'll work for more than 3 months, I'll buy it. Okay.
I don't have any that work either. I got all these DVD players. I swear to God, they all get hung up. And everyone I talk to says the same thing. Even the Blu-ray, they all suck.
Dude, I've had my 5 DVD changer Sony since literally 1998 or something. I don't know. It doesn't. If it don't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna switch the gears here.
I've replaced the needle a couple times for the.
All right, Jay asked the following question: new TLDs like .kiwi and .club own the .tld.com, but not the TLD.com. So they own dotkiwi.com, but not kiwi.com. They own dotclub.com, but not club.com. What value do you think it has if registrants own .tld.com or tld.com when the .tld is launched?
They should
I
be
can
getting
answer
that.
that.
They're losing business. Listen, the minute they open their doors, they're losing business by not having the .com. End of conversation. The end. Okay, take it away.
Does club.com need to own club.com, or is it fine just to own .dotclub.com?
No, they need to own club. Well, listen, the problem is they need to own it, but it kind of defeats their purpose, and that's the catch-22 they're in, because they absolutely need it, but it doesn't bode well for their marketing when they admit that they need the .com. But they would really be smarter to buy the .com, because even if the .com, let's say, cost $1 million, if their registry is successful, they will lose more than $1 million from not having it.
How would they lose more than $1 million from not having it?
Because, you know, the average person doesn't know, so they're going to want the .club. They don't know. How are they getting there? I mean, you know, there's just so much confusion. I mean, the only question to ask is one thing. What percentage of the people would go to would go to club.com? And you can't ask any of us. You have to go into a room filled with businessmen that don't know their ass from their elbow, okay? They don't even know that there's a .info. They don't know about, you know, we know too much, and that's our biggest problem, and we don't see it from the eyes of the people. They have one domain name. They don't need another domain in their entire life, and they're happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, on that, you know, .xxx, of course, is sort of the bang-on example where traffic to xxx.com doubled after .xxx launched, so we sort of have that as a test case. I know not talking about .club or .kiwi in particular, but I know that, and right at the dot, we have talked, or we had over the couple of years, talked to applicants about obtaining their matching .com for the extension they were going for, not only because, you know, potential lost traffic, but also additional marketing opportunity and additional business opportunity in case, especially in the contested strings, if they didn't get they wind up, you know, getting outbid at the auction for their .whatever, they could always go Rick's way, the subdomain way, and get to sort of the same business, you know, business proposition that they could have done theoretically with a new GTLD. So, you know, for example, you know, most recently CentralNix started selling subdomains off of Africa.com. So if an applicant for .Africa would have purchased Africa.com, you know, they would have it would be a much better offering. They could sell the .Africa new GTLD domain with a matching subdomain off of Africa.com, and they'd have it as a marketing platform. So it'd be a stronger offering for sure. But very few applicants went in that direction.
So 10 years ago, we looked at doing the same thing with seniors.com and .seniors, you know, kids. I think we were going after kids.org and .kids with the idea that if you don't know which one's going to win, what a great value proposition it is to sell both. And, you know, I think the question that this guy asked was, should he buy the DOT and then the TLD? And I would say that your only customers for that or if the TLD has a really high number and the registry needs a TLD for the next year and a half. But once their TLD goes live, they can operate off their own TLD. So I think it was a good strategy for 2 or 3 years ago, like, you know, maybe the .green people. If over the years they had to use the .com to market what was coming because they didn't have .green, then having .green made sense. And whether they got .green or green TLD or green domains or something, they have a lot of options. So I don't think it's one of those deals, again, we don't have these places where you can be, I'm just going to go buy it, and then someone's going to call me the next day and buy it from me, you know. Now, I will say that we have a couple of the DOTs and a couple of TLDs for the kids stuff, just because we'll be an affiliate for our registrar selling those TLDs. But it's not that we think somehow the registry is going to come by the DOT. I'm not talking about what Rick talked about, owning the COM of the thing, but it's whether you want to have the DOT something. I think probably that was a good strategy for 3 years ago.
So let me go back to Rick's point. I think that if you have green.com and people go there and find out they can get .green domain names, it will increase the sales by a lot, simply because it's one way for people to find a doorway into even knowing .green's available.
But I was on the phone with the registrar going through this whole new TLD, Sunrise, Premium, EAC, all these different rules, and we both typed in to look up a name on the registrar's platform, and both of us put a .com at the end of it. You know, we put so-and-so, so-and-so, and both of us put the .com at the end of it, and so it was funny.
Yeah, but times will change and people will remember other top-level domains. I know, Rick, that's what you were going to say. All right, Mike Berkens, let's go over to you. You registered.
Hey, Mike, before you go to Berkens.
That, Mike? Are you going to invest in what people might do down the road?
You
Hey,
took
Mike.
the words from Rick's mouth on that one.
Mike, before you go to Berkens, it's funny that you and Paige are saying everything will change, but neither one of you have a Blu-ray.
That is ironic. Mike Berkens, you registered 3 new domains in a top-level domain that's recently been launched. What have you registered?
Well, I registered, I registered 3 .horse domains, actually. So, there's a lot of places you can go to pre-register domains, which really doesn't mean too much, or to express an interest in a name. But there's actually a couple places that are selling basically new GTLD registration, subject to Sunrise, subject to collision list, that type of thing. But basically, if you register it, it'll become yours when the string gets delegated. So mindsandmachines.com is one of those registries that is live now and selling some new GTLD strings. One of them is .horse, and you can go and you can register some domain names. So based on my thought that domains and are basically about branding and will continue to be branded, I registered stallions.horse. One I own stallions.com, and so in a way sort of defensive registration. But I thought worth the money, and then I bought just registered 2 brandable names, which is ride.horse and buya.horse. So those are my 3 new GTLD registrations.
Now, were you able to get those for retail value, or did you have to buy them at sort of a premium price?
No, those weren't premium price. They do have names that are premium price, which I wrote a post about today. So if you go in, for example, like Pacifino horse, which for those who aren't aware, Pacifino is a type of horse, and it's a show horse and very big in sort of the Latin community. So if you wanted to register that name, that's sort of a premium price name going back to the old .tv model where, don't quote me on it because it was about a week and a half ago when I did it, but I think that was around 59.99 euros per year for Pacifino.horse. So there's definitely a segment of the inventory that is priced on a premium annual fee basis. But there's other names that they didn't restrict in that way, and they're just available for regular registration rates.
So if the registration goes through, Mike, how much are you paying per year on stallions.horse?
Well, I think Minds and Machines is European based, so everything's in euros, and I think it was around 40 euros per year at the moment. So I think that was approximately the price. I think some of the maybe buy a horse and ride a horse, I think they were maybe 30 euros a year.
Sorry, Mike, can you share the website to register the domains?
Yeah, you can go Minds and machines.com, and they're an applicant for about 100 new GTLDs. They're publicly traded. That's top-level domain holdings over in England, and I think there's .horse, there's .cas, C-A-S-A.
All right.
I guess I went to the wrong one. I went to mindandmachines.horse.
But again, you're buying a provisional registration, right, Mike? That if it gets through the premium list, if it gets through Sunrise.
No. Well, the premium list has already been determined because that's the registry. So.
But they can change the rules whenever they want.
No, it's priced and it's out there. So this is not a registrar. This is, it's a registrar that's a registry. It's different. So the only thing that it would have to clear is Sunrise. So somebody had, a bang on, Sunrise, if they had a trademark for Stallions and they registered with the Trademark Clearinghouse, which is, something I think a lot of people don't realize. Just having a trademark doesn't entitle you to apply during the Sunrise period. You have to have a trademark, and you have to submit the trademark to the Trademark Clearinghouse, which has to approve it, which is a separate process and a separate fee. And only once that's done can you apply under a Sunrise period.
So
Right,
what he's saying,
so you
Paige,
think
is
they're going to keep the high ground that if you pick out some nice names now, they're not going to go through later and say, well, on further review, we think that's a premium and we're going to put it in an auction.
I think for the registries that are live, again, there's not that many. Again, Minds and Machines is live, and GoDaddy seems to be live for the 4 that they're taking pre-registrations for, which I think is Uno and Build and Luxury and I don't know, something else. I don't think they can restructure those and then pull back names that were available to be registered and were in fact registered and then claim them to be reserved. No, I don't think they can do that. Sunrise is a different issue.
I'd be weary. If you're watching, I'd be weary.
Paige, can you not hit the horse with the riding crop, please?
Down the
All
stretch
right.
to come.
Hey, Mike, why register? Let's call it registration. Debatable whether it's provisional registration. Well, you should know, Mike. You're in this. Why register stallions.horse when you own stallions.com? Why wouldn't you want somebody to go register that, build a great business on it, and then 5 years come to you and buy the .com for a lot more?
Well, it could not work out that way. I mean, it could work out that way that they really want, the name with Stallions because it's, it's horse industry and it's obviously racing horses and such, and they could, look at my name that's for sale for whatever it's priced at and say, yeah, I'll go register this name for $30 and I have to go buy the name. So it's like taking one of the best alternative off the table, potentially.
Does everybody else agree with that? You do the same thing? No? Paige, Rick, what do you say?
I want all of them to. I want every extension taken, and I want to own the .com. I want 500 guys building whatever keyword I own .com, and to make it the biggest, the best, the greatest. And I leave I don't want things that I own. I want things that I don't own if I go that direction. I don't want to really. There's nothing to protect. And if a big guy does something with stallion.horses, Mike automatically wins. And if no one does anything with stallions.horses, it doesn't affect Mike whatsoever. So I don't see the real upside for it. I just see once he owns the .com, he's in the driver's seat, end of story.
I just think I like Mike's other two much, 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 much better. I think the applicants picked.
Uh-oh. Paige, you locked up.
Right.
Paige, can you say that again?
I just think that a lot of the applicants picked the strings when keywords were really important, not as much brandable. And I just don't like stallions.horse. It doesn't sound like a domain name or a brand that I would want someone to go to. And I think some of the ones that people didn't like originally are going to end up doing better because they're better for branded. So for Mike's picks, I love the buy a horse and get a horse and that type of stuff because I think that's where the horse does work well at the end. But it's almost repetitive. We talked about some of the names we look on people's lists and they have duplicate names or they have extra words or something like that. It just seems extra. So. But on the other hand, I don't own stallions.com, so it's kind of like in fantasy football. You get your backup running back, in case your running back goes down. So that's a strategy that I can't really comment on. But I do like the brandable ones. I'm just hesitant to do it until I know that I'm going to actually get it, and not just give the registry or the registrar or whoever a chance to go, oh, we forgot to tell you that that's in an auction and you got to pay more.
Yeah, again, I think it depends on where you're getting the name from, and I think in a situation where you're getting it directly in a lockup deal with the registry itself, it's not going to be something that's palatable for them to go back and re-reserve it. Especially, I just don't see that occurring. But I do think it's very interesting if you go. I don't know how many of you have actually gone to the new GoDaddy without the drop-down menu. And sort of gone and tried to register, say, a .luxury name, even though they're priced at up to $1,200 for registration fee, and then see what sort of other things come up if the name's not available. So if you go to try to register like watches.luxury, which should be a good name. That name's obviously been reserved, so it's not available. and then you can go and see what GoDaddy does with that and spins it. And what they do is they mix in some premium pre-owned domains with available domains. And I think if you play with it a little bit, you'll see that the chances of maybe you selling your premium.com might even go up. As they spin this tool and as these new GTLDs, some of these registries are now putting these premium annual prices on their domains that might be even higher than your one-time cost price for .com. And you can start seeing that turn around and work in your favor depending on how it shakes out and what people do with this thing.
Isn't it a wonderful world when Yugos can sell for more than Mercedes-Benz? I just love it.
Hey, Paige, you said that
they get better gas mileage.
Better gas mileage.
No, they
pros.
don't, because they sit there and they don't go anywhere. The last time I looked, most of them broke down and still on the side of the road.
Hey, Mike Berkens, do you still pick a registriar to buy your priority thing through, or do you actually pay the registry?
In that case, it's Minds and Machines is their own registrar, so you'll see a lot of registries being their own registrars.
Right.
And GoDaddy is the only other one that I'm personally aware of at this exact moment where you can go and register, a domain, those 4 that they have exclusive with that you can actually get sort of real rights to. I know some of the registries are selling premium domains like .kiwi and .club, I guess will be very shortly, but that's not places you can go and actually get just a registration at the moment.
Gotcha.
Hey, Paige, what domains have you registered as a result of your research about the new TLDs that are coming out?
Well, I think the experience of looking for new TLDs at the pre-registration places gets you thinking, hey, I wonder if the com of these, we think that the new TLD is, a one-word new TLD is just like a two-word .com. So, stallions.horse would be the equivalent of Stallion's Horse, which you wouldn't want the .com. But anyway, we think that's where the value is. So we would just look at some of the ones we wanted, and then we'd go ahead and say, hey, can we get that two-word in it with .com at the end? It's $8 a year. It's less money. I know what I'm getting. I can trademark it. I can brand it because I own it. I can't trademark the new TLD. And so that's what we've been doing is just kind of going through the exercise of getting .coms of stuff that the process of exploring new TLDs leads us to.
You got a couple of examples that you've recently registered?
We did some in .coach. I don't remember. It was about a week ago. We have a lot of coaching names. We actually have a site called coachingdomains.com. So we were looking at some of the stuff in .coach that we thought we might want, and then we made a list of what we wanted, and we said, do we really want it, or we want to pay the pre-registration? And then we said, well, let's see if the comms are available, and then we got the comms, but no, I don't remember any one. But.
All right. All right, great discussion. Adam, you had you brought up a topic about dashes in domains and where they work. It's interesting because I'd received an email from somebody over in the UK saying that a lot of, we know that a lot of Germans like to use dashes in the domain names, but he sent this 4-word with 3 dashes.co.uk domain name for a major supermarket, and then sent another one for Burger King over in the UK that was using a survey site with 2 dashes and 3 words. It seems like it's crazy to have that many words and that many dashes.
I think I saw that when it was answer-us-about burgers. No! Schnell!
It wasn't German, though. It was .co.uk.
Oh, sorry. That was English, too, by the way. Before we get into that, I have a bit of a protest. I think the domain that we talked about, which was website birthday, I think it's taken. And I said taken, and you marked it available. We'll get back to that later.
Well, I'm going to go have look it up. When I pulled these names yesterday, it was available.
Recount.
I looked it up, and it's owned by some guy named Shabbat Zanon. So, at GoDaddy.
I'm looking it up on my phone right now.
It was registered today, though, guys. It was registered today.
Was it?
How?
Yeah.
Which one of you guys is Shabbat Zanon at GoDaddy?
Are you serious? It was registered just today?
Yeah, December 4th.
Wow.
Someone's crashing the site. Someone's crashing it as we do this live.
Someone has my office bugged, or one of your offices.
Shadance unknown, huh?
That's crazy. It was just registered today. Okay, well, I need to preface it by saying when I researched this and pulled a name yesterday, it was available.
I think it's more when you ask us, because that's an unfair. I'm going to have to check the rest of yours later.
I should win.
I did check increased website revenue, and I think that one's gone too. So, no, I'm just kidding. All right. So, what the heck? Oh, the dashes. That was the question.
Dashes.
So, I have never been a big fan of dashes, but recently I found a way to use them for profit. So, a gentleman that I know bought a domain off of dnforum.com, free plug, and for $15. He later sold it. It had a dash. I can't give you the name because it's going to close this week, but I'll give it to you in the next video. It's going to close for $3,800. The company owns the domain. The company owns the domain with the dash. He bought the one without the dash, and they want to upgrade it to pay $3,800. I have another one where they own the dash, and this guy is selling it for $7,500. So if you find companies that own dashes, it just proves that they even believe that the dash has less value because they're willing to sell it. Now, from a domainer's perspective, it has value because now we know we can turn those dash domains into sales if we can get the ones without the dashes. So even the end user's preference, and they know they have to pay for it, I think they start up with a $10 cost, take the dash, and then when they realize they're actually going to make money, it's a legitimate business, they don't want a dash because it doesn't legitimize their business. And that's my story.
Yeah. All right. Good tip. Let's see here. I think that's all the questions that I had here. Did I mention DN Seattle is going to be at the top of the Space Needle January 30th?
I believe I heard that.
Excellent. All right. Any other topics you guys want to chat about?
Yeah. What's the matter? No more user questions? 2 lousy questions?
2 questions. All right. Submit more questions, users.
It. Jeez, you got all of us here and nobody wants any questions?
This is great because it's coming up on 3 o'clock my time. Not that I don't enjoy spending time with you guys. I look forward to it all week. Spending quality time with you 4 guys.
It's been 2 weeks, so don't take all week.
But to be honest, it's coming up on 3 o'clock. I've got literally 5 hours of ripping the videos, uploading them, processing them, and getting the show going. So if the after show's a little bit shorter, I'm okay. No, you're supposed to go like this. It's
drama.
My violin.
And of course, he has to write the checks to us, and that takes a long time.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of time.
So what he's trying to say is the clock is ticking and we're getting kicked out.
All right. Last thoughts, gentlemen. Adam.
Nothing. I'm happy. Great show. I missed it. It was 2 weeks of hell, even though I stuffed myself with turkey. Yummy. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and I missed the show. I'm glad to be back.
I got on my body fat weight monitor this morning, and I was like literally up 3% body fat. And, you know, I know you can't.
Good job.
Jeez Louise.
So what are you up to now? 3% total body fat?
Yeah, I wish.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Mike Berkens.
Sir.
Any final thoughts?
I still do not know how to tango after 2 weeks in Argentina.
I saw all those waterfall pictures you sent that you uploaded to Google Images. How many waterfalls did you go see?
Just one, but it's quite, you know, it has 7 or 8, or there's 2 like sides. It's on the border of Argentina and Brazil. I recommend it to anybody who happens to be over there. And both sides of the country are leaking, so it's quite impressive.
They've got the high ground.
They do have the high and the low ground, absolutely.
Paige Howe, final thoughts.
If you're under 50, you remember the TV show Hill Street Blues? At the end of every show, the sergeant would look the guys in the eye and say, be careful out there. So when it comes to new TLDs, be careful out there.
Mike, Paige, that was Daniel J. Travanti.
No, I'm talking about the sergeant, Osterhaus. Bill Osterhaus. In the roll call room, saying, hey, let's be careful out there.
Rick Schwartz, final word.
Well, it's December, and as I wrote about every single December that I can remember, I usually take December off and kind of think back at the what transpired during the previous year, the big events, small events, everything in between, and kind of plot a course for the next year. And I think we've seen a really dramatic change in the environment of domaining from what people were thinking in May, June, and July, and how they're looking at the industry now at this time of the year, and what's gone in the last 3, 4, 5 months, and what a major about face it's taken. And I think 2014 is just going to be a stunning year. I mean, really, a really big year with everything going on. This industry is absolutely going to be on fire. Thousands of more employees are going to be coming to work for all these GTLDs, and Adam's mustache is just going to keep growing and growing. So it's going to be a great year.
See.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot to talk about in the new year with all the new GTLDs launching. Rick, I got the, what was it, Cyber Monday or the Black Friday promotional discount for Traffic Vegas. I can't wait to go to Vegas in May. I'm being picked up in a black limo by Rick Schwartz at the airport.
And it worked. We sold tickets. But you know what's interesting? The Cyber Monday, I think they got it upside down. And it could change. And I think it could end up being Cyber Thursday because the stores opened. It pissed off a lot of people. A lot of people went shopping.
Yep.
I think if the retailers were smart, they would try to shift it to Thursday. And also, it's a very unproductive day for businesses, so the retailers aren't making any points. And besides that, I own cyberthursday.com. Other than that...
So should Mr. Schilling have applied for Cyber Monday instead of Black Friday?
No comment.
I think a mulligan would be in order.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great week. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for the show.
Thank
Ciao.
you.
Thanks, Mike. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.